Hey guys, hey YouTube world. Doesn't take long if you're cruising around here on YouTube to realize that a lot of people love Wing Chun, a lot of people really hate Wing Chun. Some people say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, other people say it's complete snake oil, and anyone who says it works is crazy. They can't both be right, and by that same measure they can't both be wrong. As I've said before, Wing Chun is data collection. All of our training is data collection. And that's why the people who hate Wing Chun say it won't work, because quite simply, if you're not training in Wing Chun, if you're not trying to collect the data, you can't measure the data. But the same is true of people who love Wing Chun. They are overestimating the data, because at the end of the day, movement is just movement, people are just people. One of the things we say all the time is that Wing Chun is based on normal human body movements. So what does that mean? What does that term mean? Normal human body movements. It means it's something that could be done by an average human being of average fitness, average health, without training. So if you think about it, our training is about trying to reach a point equal to someone who has no training, which is madness, but that's actually what it is, because it's all about data collection. My Sifu, one time when I was talking to him, before I understood this, I was complaining about the content of the training I was getting given. And he said to me, when you come to spend time with me, you shouldn't think you're coming to learn something new. You should be coming to get your homework marked. And it took me a long time to realize that this is absolutely correct. But also it took me a long time to realize that this wasn't just a statement. It's not just about me doing stuff at home. It's also about me going to someone who already knows what is correct or what is fruitful, and then having him analyze it and say, no, you're misinterpreting the data. And that's the big problem in Wing Chun. Half the world doesn't know what the data is saying, and the other side of the world, they're misinterpreting the data, think it's saying more than it is. If we are aiming to be an average human being, then surely most of us are there. And we're talking about something that was started in the mid-1800s. We are in excess of them by so many things, even at school level. So we already are in the perfect physical condition for doing Wing Chun. So our training now is trying to stay in that condition, trying to stay in that place, not add to it, and certainly not distract from it, but we can distract from it by doing the wrong things. And this whole conversation can become very circular and meaningless, so we need to take it outside of Wing Chun where we don't have opinions. Wing Chun is a martial art. Now usually it's capital M, small a, but it's also capital A, small m. And like any art, we can, if we take a piece of music or we take a painting, we look at the overall painting or we listen to the overall piece of music and we say, yeah, that's what it's about, man. Yeah, I get it, I love it. If there's plenty of movement within that, then it'll get our attention longer. We'll move in, we'll have a look, we'll listen to a little stanza or two in the music, or we'll look at a small colour and representation in the painting, and we'll get deeper understanding. We'll go, wow, I didn't see that, that's even better. And then if that's got our attention even more, if we want to get that data refined, we look even deeper. We'll listen to a single note, we'll look at a single brush stroke. This is what Vasily Kandinsky, who was a teacher at Bauhaus, he referred to as being point to line to plane to form. This is the natural progression, but it's a progression that goes from the outside to the inside. Everything is form until we start to get a level of understanding. Then it becomes line, then it becomes plane, then it becomes line, then it becomes point. So the essence of our training is to get down to the point. What is the point of our training? This is obviously a mental exercise, and everything we do physically should be aimed at understanding this mental exercise. And you know, this is not what beginners want. You can't even begin to approach this level of training until you have at least a working knowledge of the first three forms and a working knowledge of Chi Sao. Because when you have them, that working knowledge, you actually have a working knowledge of the totality of Wing Chun. The physical side of Wing Chun. We now have the engine to help us dig deeper and understand what Wing Chun is trying to teach us. And it's not trying to teach us Bong Sao. It's not trying to teach us 1-inch punch. It's not trying to teach us It's not really trying to teach us anything. Data doesn't teach. Data just shows you what is actually there. And then it's up to us how we work it out. And I realized that this, I was there for many years. I realized that this is so obscure. We said, man, this has got to be some bullshit just for you to keep taking my fees. You know, it's like a cult, isn't it? You know, you do this, don't question it, stick in, you'll get it at the end. Or it's like a religion. But it does work, it is real. And we know that because, you know, in my life, I grew up with some very tough boys. I grew up in a time, post-war England, there was a lot of violence. These guys had no training, but they could fight like fuck. These guys were fearless. So fighting is not about techniques. Fighting is different. We can look at fighting as being an art. And so what we often consider to be fighting is the overall picture. But when we start bringing it into the form, to the line, to the plane, to the line, to the point, then we say, wow, this is a completely different thing. And this is the only way we can get good at any martial art, to understand what it's trying to teach us, to understand the concepts. And Wing Chun is the only martial art that I know of that is conceptual for that reason. If we think where Wing Chun came from, in the mid-1800s, there was a really incredibly vicious civil war in southeastern China called the Red Turban Rebellion. And a lot of it circled around Foshan. In Foshan, there was a well-known tournament martial artist known Dr. Lung Jian. We all know that you can't really trust Chinese history, it gets buffed up. But by all accounts, he had 300 fights undefeated. So why did he choose to change his fighting style? Why did he choose to improve his fighting style? Because that's where Wing Chun came from. He found his style lacking. You could imagine, he's woke up in the middle of the night, people in his shop. How does he deal with that? It's dark, he's scared, he's just half asleep. He's a rich man, so he gets attacked on the street by people who are starving to death. Tournament fighting doesn't work in that situation because it's orderly. And that type of situation is chaotic. And that's the same reason why the type of fighting, or the type of physicality we would use in that situation doesn't work in a tournament. Because in a tournament, you need to be orderly, or you get disqualified, or you don't understand what's going on. Getting to the heart of Wing Chun, it can start with a book, it can start with a video, but you then need to go to someone who understands the data you're collecting and says, yes, you're taking it in the right way. Hopefully you'll listen to this little chat a few times, because this is the actual heart of what we're doing. And if you can get a handle on it, then you're moving in the right direction. No two people will ever get to the same place, because we're different people, and by the time we get there, it'll be a different place. But we can all help each other. Hopefully, you know, if this raises any questions, put a message in the comments. As long as it's not stupid, I'll answer it. And if it's all you can get to see me out here in Western Sydney, come and see me. It's not... I'm back. While I was in post-production, I remembered something that is really, really quite pertinent to this conversation. When I was at intermediate level, where I'm trying to understand, you know, I've been training about 10 years or something, maybe a bit more, trying to get the understanding of the deep levels of Wing Chun, and all of my training is being done with very senior people. There were two instructors in particular. We only had 7 senior instructors, and there was 2 of them in particular I had immense respect for. They were both extremely skilled. And then one of them gave up Wing Chun, took up BJJ. I don't know why I never saw that person again. But his mate, who stayed with us, obviously didn't break his friendship with the other guy, and so he was always going over, playing with him, playing with his friends who did BJJ. And sooner or later, this other instructor gave up BJJ, and I did get to see him many times later. And when asked, well, you know, you were so good, why'd you give it up? He said, well, I found it didn't work. Just, you know, when I was with these BJJ guys, it just didn't work. And there's a problem there, isn't there? There's a huge problem. If you're playing with someone at BJJ, and I'm not trying to say that one is better than the other, I'm certainly not trying to knock BJJ, it's a phenomenal martial art. But when you're playing with a BJJ guy, he is using all of his skill in the best way he possibly can. Because that's, you know, it's competitive martial art, that's what they do. But as the Wing Chun man now, the only thing we do, if a Wing Chun man touches someone, he must hurt them. That's it. Everything we do should hurt someone. Every time we hit them, we should break something. But if you're with a friend who's trying to wrestle you, you're just not going to do it. Number one, he's your friend, and you just don't. So I'm sure you understand. So you have a situation where the BJJ guys are doing the best they can, and the Wing Chun guy is not even using his Wing Chun. He's trying to do some crazy kind of hybrid thing. And how can that work? It can't work. And that's important to understand as well, because if we're out there and we're not doing what's needed, it's going to fail no matter how good we are. Now, this next statement is probably going to sound crazy. It's going to sound insane. But this is something I deeply, deeply believe, and anyone who knows me will tell you I've been saying this for years and years. There isn't one person on this planet that can take me to ground. Think about that. I mean, everyone. O'Connor, everyone. MMA guys, everyone. No one can take me to ground. Like right now, you'd be laughing, and I don't blame you. But it's not about whether that statement is correct or is incorrect. It's about the fact that when I see someone set up to grapple me, I don't panic and stop using Wing Chun. When I see someone go like this, I just think, get ready to break his neck. Get ready to punch him in the head. I don't try to stop the BJJ guy or the grappling guy from grappling me. Think about that. Wing Chun hits people. It doesn't wrestle, doesn't roll about on the floor. Now, the reality is there are millions and millions of people who could take me to the floor. But it won't affect how I stand up against them. It won't affect me not being intimidated by the fact that they can take me to the floor. If somebody's darting in on you and you put your hand on the side of their head, by complete accident, you can rip all the muscles in his neck. You could even cause their death. Well, they would cause their death because their forward momentum would snap their neck. Think about this. Wing Chun only works if we use Wing Chun, and we use it to the full extent of its capacity. When Wing Chun touches something, it breaks something. As always, this is part of data collection. This is part of the concept. The concept is, if I touch you, I break something. Not, I'm going to do bong sao and chi sao and fart around. Anyway, leave a comment, try to come and see me.